everyone, and welcome to my booktube channel. My name is Sarah, and today I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I read during the month of March. So like the month before it, I ended up reading a total of 7 books this month, which isn't a record for me. It isn't fantastic. It didn't make me go whoop whoop, but it's what we got, so I'm gonna roll with it. The first book that I read in the month of March was A Song for Ella Gray by David Almond. This book was basically a retelling of the Greek myth of Orpheus and his wife Eurydice. Basically, Orpheus is this very, very talented musician, and when his wife is killed by a snake bite, he travels down to the underworld and plays a song for Hades and Persephone, the king and queen of the underworld, in order to attempt to win back the soul of his wife. The writing style was extremely stream of consciousness, which I really like in a book. I think it's a bit unusual and I like to see it. It was a very, very short book and I did like it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It just wasn't fantastic. There wasn't a whole lot of plot besides basically the premise that I just told you. That was it. There was a lot of partying on the beach and smoking and drinking. It was full of young people and adventure, and I really liked that aspect. The next book that I read this month was Between Shades of Grey by Ruta Sepetys. I think I'm saying that last name right, but I'm really not sure, so here's hoping. This is a historical fiction novel set in Lithuania in 1941, when 15-year-old Lena is swept away in the midst of a war and taken to a labor camp. I read Salt to the Sea, also by this author, last month, and absolutely loved it, and so I knew I had to pick this one up since I already owned it, and it did not disappoint. Her stories are so powerful, and I absolutely adore everything I've read from her so far. This book really made me feel a lot of things, and it opened my eyes to a lot of different things that happened during World War II that I wasn't aware of. This author always manages to do that with her work, and I am so looking forward to reading more of her work in the future. The next book that I read this month was City of Ashes by Cassandra Clare. You guys, I finally did it. I continued on with the Mortal Instruments series, and I am so glad that I did. And it was so good. The plot was so much better than the first one, and I was just gripped from the very beginning. It was one of those stories that I would pick up and without realizing it, I would read like 100 pages in like one sitting. It just moved that quick and I didn't have to think about reading it. It just sort of happened. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars all the way, and I cannot wait to continue this series in the following months. The next book I read this month was Save Me, Kurt Cobain by Jenny Manzer. This book follows a young girl by the name of Nico who has been rather adrift since her mother left her at the age of 4. She finds some things in her attic of her mother's that make her think that perhaps Kurt Cobain is actually her real father, and so when she sees a man on the ferry that looks rather like him, she goes after him, and that is where the story really takes off. I gave this book a 4.5 stars because I thought it was very poetic and I loved the main character. While she did not make all the decisions that I wanted her to in some situations, she was still a very awesome main character and I loved getting to see from her perspective. And also, my grunge heart adored this book. I've been waiting for some grungy book like this forever. As a side note, one of the things that I really loved about this book was each of the chapters are named after a Nirvana song. I love it! Also, the author liked my review of her book on Goodreads, and I was just like, what? The next book that I read this month was Black Hearts by Nicole Casterman. This book is sort of a reimagined Edward Teach / Blackbeard prequel story. I don't know if you guys knew this, but I absolutely love pirates. Pirates of the Caribbean, all the movies, just yes. So when I heard that this was coming out, I was so pumped because I need pirates in my life. And I've actually never read a YA pirate novel, so when I heard about this, I was so excited. However, a few weeks before its release, I saw a review on it that said it wasn't actually taking place on a ship and we didn't get any piratey business, and so I was forewarned, and thusly I wasn't disappointed when that turned out to be true. I mean, I was still disappointed because I wanted pirates, and why would they give us this cover if they didn't mean pirates? I just think that was mean of them. Pirate business aside, it was basically just a love story between Edward Teach and Anne Bonny, and while it was charming, I wasn't a huge fan. And so I only gave it 3 out of 5 stars. However, the way this novel ends I think was pretty interesting, so if she gets a sequel, I would definitely be interested in reading that one. The next book that I read this month was actually a reread for me, and that is Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea by April Genevieve Tucholke. If you guys saw my last video, you might have heard all about my thoughts and love for this author. I will leave it linked down below in case you missed it. But basically, I am in love with all of this author's work, and because of the next book on my list, I read this sort of in preparation for that, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I still really love it. It was still super creepy. I still think I like the sequel better, but I need to do a reread because I'm not really sure. I haven't read that one in a while, but still excellent. If you guys did see my last video, then this next book is probably not any of a surprise to you, but that is Wink Poppy Midnight by April Genevieve Tucholke. Can we just take a minute to bask in this cover glory? I want to take it to Vegas and marry it. I might. You just wait. This book is sort of a mystery/thriller that follows 3 main characters, 2 girls and 1 boy, Wink, Poppy, and Midnight, who all sort of get tangled up in each other's lives, and one night some things go terribly wrong. So of course I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. So that is it for all of the books that I read in the month of March. You guys should let me know down below some of the books that you read in March, which ones were your favorite. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe if you're new here. If you guys would like to follow me on Twitter or any of my social medias, I will leave the links to those in the description box below as always. But most of all, I hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video, and I will see you in my next one. Goodbye!